Jake Morrison sat in the corner of the big meeting room and watched the alien leaders argue about war. The room was full of strange creatures from different worlds. The Zephyrians looked like walking crystals that sparkled when they talked. The Fractar were giant bugs with too many eyes and sharp teeth. The Sauros were like lizards but much bigger and meaner looking. They were all talking about the enemy that was destroying everything in space. The machines called themselves the Dominion of Kethvar. These machines had no feelings and no mercy. They had already destroyed 17 star systems and millions of lives. Every planet they touched became empty and dead. Jake listened to Admiral Zexithara speak in her crystal voice. She wanted to attack the machines with all their ships at once. It was the same plan they had tried before. Jake had seen this exact attack fail 2 times already. Thousands of good soldiers had died because of plans like this one. The other aliens barely looked at Jake. To them, humans were weak and stupid. Earth had only joined their alliance 3 years ago. The aliens thought humans were only good for bringing food and supplies to their war fleets. They never asked humans for advice about fighting. General Siskara turned his yellow eyes toward Jake. His long tongue flicked out as he spoke. The human says nothing as usual. Does your kind have no ideas about war? Jake smiled and kept his voice calm. We are still learning from your great experience. The aliens nodded at each other. They all agreed that humans were not real warriors. The meeting went on for hours. Jake wrote down everything he heard. He learned about their battle plans and where their ships would go next. He memorized the names of their best commanders and their favorite ways to fight. Every piece of information was important. When the meeting finally ended, Jake walked back to his small ship alone. The other aliens had big, beautiful warships with powerful weapons. Jake's ship looked like a tiny metal box next to theirs. The aliens probably thought it was funny that humans traveled in such small, ugly ships. Jake sat in his captain's chair and opened a secret communication channel to Earth. The message he sent was very short. Phase 1 complete. They still think we are weak and harmless. On Earth, deep under the mountains of Colorado, Director Lisa Campbell got Jake's message. She was sitting in a room full of computers and smart people. Dozens of humans were working day and night on a secret project. They had big screens showing pictures of alien ships and battle records. Lisa's team had been studying every alien species for 3 years. They knew how each alien commander liked to fight. They knew their strengths and their fears. They had files on every important alien leader in the galaxy. The humans had also been studying their enemy. The Dominion machines were very smart, but they followed patterns. They always did the same things in the same situations. This made them predictable to humans who knew how to look for patterns. While the aliens thought humans were watching and learning like students, the humans were actually preparing for war. They had been building secret weapons and training soldiers. Everything was ready, but the aliens had no idea what was coming. Dr. Peter Kim was one of Lisa's best scientists. He had been working on a special project for 2 years. The stealth systems are ready, he told Lisa. Our ships can become completely invisible to their sensors. Captain Roy Stevens had been training human pilots in secret bases around Earth. Our people know how to fight like ghosts, he reported. The enemy won't see us coming until it's too late. Lisa looked at the big screen that showed the current war. The aliens were losing badly. Every time they fought the Dominion, more ships were destroyed. The machine enemy was getting stronger while the aliens grew weaker and more desperate. Jake is doing good work up there, Lisa said to her team. The aliens trust him now. They think he's just a harmless observer who brings them supplies and information. Major Helen Carter was in charge of human psychology research. She had studied how the aliens thought and felt. They are too proud to ask for help from a species they see as inferior. This pride will be their weakness and our advantage. The aliens had made a big mistake when they decided humans were not important. They saw that human ships were small and human weapons were simple. They thought this meant humans were weak. They never considered that humans might be hiding their real strength. Back on Jake's ship, he was reading reports about the latest battle. The Dominion had destroyed another alien fleet. The machines were learning how the aliens fought and getting better at destroying them. Soon, the aliens would be so weak that nothing could save them. Jake opened his personal log and began to write. The aliens still see us as children who need protection. They don't understand that we have been preparing for this war since the day we learned about it. While they argue about honor and tradition, we have been building tools for victory. He looked out his ship's window at the alien fleet preparing for another hopeless battle. Tomorrow they would attack the Dominion again, with the same tactics that had failed before. More aliens would die and the machines would grow stronger. But Jake knew something the aliens didn't know. Humans were not the weak species everyone thought they were. They were patient hunters who had been watching and waiting for the right moment to strike. That moment was coming soon. Jake closed his log and sent another message to Earth. The aliens are ready for Phase 2. Begin final preparations. On Earth, Lisa Campbell smiled as she read the message. Soon the galaxy would learn what humans were really capable of doing. The war was about to change in ways nobody expected. The quiet observers were about to become the most dangerous hunters in space. The Dominion machines attacked the mining colonies near Kepler 442, just as everyone expected they would. The colonies were important because they produced the rare metals needed to build starship engines. If the machines took control of those mines, the alien alliance would lose their ability to build new ships. Admiral Zexithara gathered the biggest fleet she had ever commanded. Her crystal body flashed with bright colors as she gave orders to over 300 warships. The Vraktar brought their fast fighter ships that moved like angry wasps. The Saros sent their heavy battle cruisers with thick armor and big guns. Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the Zephyrian flagship and watched the battle preparations. He wore a simple human uniform that looked plain next to the fancy alien military clothing. The alien officers barely noticed him as they rushed around getting ready for the fight. The battle began exactly as the Dominion computers had calculated it would. The aliens formed their traditional attack patterns and charged straight toward the enemy fleet. Admiral Zexithara believed that courage and determination would win against machine logic. But the Dominion had been studying alien tactics for 3 years. Their artificial intelligence had analyzed every battle and learned exactly how each species preferred to fight. The machines knew what the aliens would do before the aliens knew it themselves. When the alien fleet attacked, the Dominion ships were ready with perfect counter-moves. Every alien strategy had been predicted and prepared for. The Vraktar fighters flew into carefully planned trap formations. The Saros battlecruisers found their heavy weapons useless against shields that had been designed to stop exactly those types of attacks. Jake watched the battle turn into a disaster. Alien ships exploded in bright flashes all around him. The communication channels filled with desperate calls for help and retreat orders. What should have been a great victory became a terrible defeat. All ships fall back immediately, Admiral Zexithara commanded. Her crystal body had turned dark purple with stress and fear. Emergency retreat to the backup positions. The surviving alien ships limped away from the battlefield. They had lost almost half of their fleet in less than 2 hours. The Dominion machines had won another perfect victory without losing a single important ship. At the emergency meeting 3 days later, the alien leaders were angry and desperate. They sat around the same table where they had planned their attack, but now they were pointing fingers and blaming each other for the defeat. Your Vraktar fighters broke formation too early, Admiral Zexithara accused Commander Vexic. The bug-like alien clicked his teeth in anger. Our fighters followed your battle plan perfectly. It was your crystal ships that failed to provide proper cover. General Siskara hissed at both of them. The Saros heavy cruisers did their job. You two species failed to coordinate properly. Jake sat quietly and listened to them argue. He made mental notes about everything they said. Their anger and blame was exactly what he had hoped to see. The proud alien species were losing trust in each other while still ignoring the humans completely. When the arguing finally stopped, Jake stood up slowly. All the alien eyes turned toward him with surprise. The human rarely spoke during these meetings. I have a suggestion for the next battle, Jake said in his calm voice. General Siskara laughed with a sound like steam escaping from a pipe. You want to give us advice about fighting? Your species has contributed nothing but food and supplies. That's exactly why my suggestion might work, Jake replied. The Dominion machines have 3 years of data about how your species fight. They know your tactics and can predict your moves. But they have no information about human military doctrine. Admiral Zexathera's crystal body flickered with what might have been amusement. Your species has fewer than 50 combat ships in the entire galaxy. What could you possibly accomplish against the Dominion fleet? Commander Vexic made a buzzing sound with his wings. The human ships are small and weak. Their weapons are primitive compared to ours. How could they succeed? Where we have failed. Jake smiled, but his eyes stayed serious. Give me command of the next engagement, and I will show you something the Dominion has never seen before. The alien leaders looked at each other with expressions that clearly showed they thought Jake had lost his mind. A human commanding a battle against the Dominion seemed like the stupidest idea anyone had ever suggested. You are asking us to trust our remaining forces to an untested species, General Siskara said slowly. I'm asking you to trust us with one battle, Jake replied. If we fail, you can go back to your traditional methods. If we succeed, maybe you'll learn something new about warfare. Admiral Zexathera considered the proposal. Her species had been fighting wars for thousands of years, but they kept losing to the machines. Maybe it was time to try something completely different. What exactly are you proposing? She asked. Jake activated a small holographic display that showed the positions of nearby Dominion forces. The machines will attack the research station at Proxima within the next week. Let me coordinate the defense of that station with a combined fleet. Combined means you want our ships to follow your orders, Commander Vexic said with suspicion. Combined means I want our species to work together in a new way, Jake corrected. The Dominion expects you to fight like you always have. They don't expect you to fight like humans. The meeting room fell silent as the alien leaders thought about Jake's proposal. They were desperate enough to consider almost anything, but trusting a human with military command seemed impossible. Finally, Admiral Zexathera spoke for all of them. You may coordinate the defense of Proxima Station, but if you fail and our ships are destroyed, the blood will be on human hands. Jake nodded seriously. If I fail, there won't be any human hands left to worry about blood. After the meeting ended and the aliens left, Jake opened a secure channel to Earth. His message was longer this time. Phase 2 approved. Alien leaders have agreed to let humans coordinate the next battle. All forces should be ready for Ghost Protocol activation within 72 hours. On Earth, Director Lisa Campbell received the message with satisfaction. The trap was finally ready to spring shut. Soon the galaxy would see what humans could really do when they stopped pretending to be harmless observers. Captain Danny Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the UES Defiance and checked his instruments one final time. His ship looked ordinary from the outside, but it hid secrets that no alien had ever imagined. Hidden inside the hull were devices that could bend light and hide heat signatures in ways that seemed impossible. The battle for Proxima Station was about to begin. The Dominion fleet approached in their usual perfect geometric formations. Every machine ship moved with precise timing that never varied by even a single second. Their sensors were scanning for the expected alien fleet positions, but something was wrong with their readings. The Dominion computers could detect the Zephyrian crystal ships and the Vraktar fighters exactly where they expected them to be. The Soros battlecruisers showed up clearly on their tactical displays. However, the human ships had simply vanished from all sensor readings. Ghost Protocol is now active, Captain Rodriguez reported to Jake Morrison, who was coordinating the battle from a hidden command vessel. All human ships are invisible to Dominion sensors. The secret that humanity had been developing for 3 years was not bigger weapons or stronger shields. While the aliens had focused on building more powerful warships, humans had learned how to become invisible in space. They had studied the science of stealth until they could hide entire fleets from the most advanced sensors. The Dominion machines had been programmed to fight enemies they could see and track. Their artificial intelligence was perfect at calculating battle outcomes when all variables were known. But now they faced an enemy that did not exist on their instruments. Captain Amy Foster led her squadron of human fighters through the heart of the Dominion fleet. Her pilots moved like ghosts between the enemy ships, appearing just long enough to fire their weapons before disappearing again. The machine ships tried to return fire, but they were shooting at targets that had already vanished. Strike Team. Alpha, target the command vessel's communication array, Amy ordered her pilots. Beta Team, take out their sensor relays. Make them blind and deaf before they can adapt. The human fighters struck with surgical precision at exactly the right systems. Years of studying Dominion ship designs had taught them which components were most critical. They knew exactly where to hit to cause maximum damage with minimum effort. Lieutenant Sam Johnson flew his fighter through a formation of Dominion destroyers that were firing randomly into empty space. They're trying to hit us with area effect weapons, he reported, but they're just wasting ammunition on nothing. The alien coalition forces watched in amazement as the tide of battle shifted completely. Admiral Zexathara had never seen anything like it in centuries of warfare. The unstoppable Dominion fleet was falling apart as invisible enemies struck from all directions. How is this possible? She asked Jake through the communication channel. Your ships appear and disappear like spirits. Human technology developed along different paths than yours, Jake replied calmly. While you built stronger weapons, we learned to avoid being shot at all. Commander Vexic was having the same problem understanding what he was seeing. The Dominion ships are firing at empty space. Their sensors must be malfunctioning. Their sensors work perfectly, Jake explained. They just can't detect something they were never designed to see. Captain Rodriguez brought his destroyer within weapon range of a massive Dominion battleship. The enemy vessel was 3 times larger than his ship and carried enough firepower to destroy a small moon. But size and power meant nothing if the enemy couldn't see the target. Firing full spread of plasma torpedoes at their engine core, Rodriguez announced. His weapons struck the battleship's weakest point and caused a chain reaction that tore the huge ship apart from the inside. The Dominion artificial intelligence tried to adapt to this new threat, but it faced an impossible problem. How could a computer calculate battle strategies against enemies that did not register on any sensors? Every tactical program failed when the basic requirement of target identification could not be met. Major Helen Carter commanded a group of human bombers that appeared inside the Dominion formation like deadly surprises. Her ships materialized just long enough to drop their explosive payloads before vanishing back into invisibility. Ghost Squadron to all units, she called over the radio. The enemy is trying to create detection grids using overlapping sensor sweeps. Stay mobile and don't hold position for more than 30 seconds. The human pilots had trained for this exact scenario. They knew how to fight while invisible and how to coordinate attacks without giving away their positions. Every maneuver had been practiced thousands of times in secret training exercises. Dr. Kevin Wright had spent 2 years perfecting the stealth technology that made this victory possible. He watched the battle from Earth and felt proud of what human science had accomplished. The aliens always assumed that better armor and bigger guns were the only paths to military superiority, he told Director Campbell. They never considered that the best defense might be not getting hit at all. General Ciscara was the first alien commander to truly understand what was happening. The humans have made themselves invisible to enemy sensors, he realized. This is not just advanced technology. This is a completely different philosophy of warfare. The battle continued for 6 hours, but the outcome had been decided in the first 30 minutes. The Dominion fleet that had seemed invincible was destroyed by an enemy they could not see or fight. Their perfect tactical computers were useless against opponents that existed outside their programmed parameters. When the last Dominion ship exploded, the human vessels finally appeared on everyone's sensors. The alien coalition forces saw that the mysterious invisible fleet had been right beside them the entire time. Small human ships had been moving through formations of giant alien warships without anyone knowing they were there. Incredible, Admiral Zexathara whispered as she watched the human ships become visible. You were fighting a completely different battle than the one we saw. Jake's voice came through the communication system with quiet satisfaction. We've been preparing for this war much longer than you realized. Captain Rodriguez looked at his tactical display showing the wreckage of the once mighty Dominion fleet. Ghost protocol has been deactivated. All human ships are returning to normal sensor visibility. The victory at Proxima Station changed everything about the war. For the first time, the Dominion had been completely defeated. Their perfect artificial intelligence had encountered something it could not understand or counter. But Jake knew this was only the beginning. The machine enemy would learn from this defeat and try to develop new sensors that could detect human stealth technology. The next battle would be even more challenging because the element of surprise was now gone. The emergency meeting of the Galactic Coalition happened in the same room where the alien leaders had once dismissed human capabilities. But now their expressions were completely different. Instead of looking at Jake Morrison with disrespect, they stared at him with confusion and growing fear. Admiral Zexathera was the first to speak. Her crystal body flickered with colors that showed deep uncertainty. "Explain to us what we witnessed at Proxima Station. How did your small fleet destroy an entire Dominion battle group?" Jake stood calmly in front of the alien commanders who had once treated him like an ignorant child. "The answer requires you to understand something about human nature that your species have never considered." Director Lisa Campbell appeared as a hologram in the center of the room. Her presence commanded immediate attention from every alien present. She had been watching this war from Earth, but now she was ready to reveal the truth about humanity's role. "For 3 years, while you saw us as weak observers, we were conducting the most comprehensive military analysis in galactic history," Lisa began. "Every battle you fought was recorded and studied. Every tactical decision was analyzed in detail." The wall screens around the room suddenly lit up with information that made the alien commanders lean forward in shock. Detailed psychological profiles of every alien leader appeared on the displays. Each profile showed their favorite tactics, their weaknesses, and predictions about how they would react in different battle situations. Admiral Zexathera stared at her own tactical assessment with growing alarm. The human analysis was accurate down to the smallest details. It predicted her responses to various scenarios with frightening precision. "You have been studying us like laboratory specimens," General Siskara said with a hiss that showed both anger and grudging respect. "We studied everyone," Lisa replied without emotion, "including the Dominion. Their artificial intelligence is sophisticated, but it relies completely on patterns and predictable behavior." Jake activated another display that showed the technical specifications of the stealth technology that had devastated the Dominion fleet. "Every species in this room fights exactly the same way your ancestors did thousands of years ago. You value honor, tradition, and direct confrontation above tactical innovation." Commander Vexic's compound eyes focused intently on the stealth system diagrams. His scientific background helped him understand the implications of what he was seeing. "This technology should be impossible according to our understanding of physics. How do you hide such large vessels from quantum sensors?" "Your quantum sensors work perfectly," Jake explained. "The problem is that human science developed along completely different theoretical paths. We learned to manipulate light, heat, and electromagnetic radiation in ways your physicists never considered." Dr. Peter Kim appeared on another hologram to provide technical details. "While your species focused on building more powerful weapons and stronger defenses, humans concentrated on avoiding detection entirely. We asked a different question. What if the enemy cannot find us at all?" The room fell silent as the full scope of human preparation became clear. The aliens realized they had been completely wrong about humanity's capabilities and intentions. "You have been manipulating this war from the beginning," Admiral Zexathera said slowly. "We have been trying to win this war," Jake corrected. "While you were losing battles with the same failed strategies, we were developing the tools and tactics needed for victory." Major Helen Carter's hologram joined the presentation to explain the psychological warfare aspects. "The Dominion artificial intelligence is incredibly advanced, but it has a fatal weakness. It cannot handle truly unpredictable variables in its calculations." The display showed detailed analyses of Dominion behavior patterns from 3 years of combat data. The machine enemy adapts quickly to new threats, but only within the parameters of its original programming. It has never encountered a species that fights using completely unknown principles. General Siskara studied the information with his reptilian brain, working to process the implications. "You allowed us to keep losing battles so the Dominion would not suspect your true capabilities." "We needed the Dominion to become overconfident," Lisa admitted. Every defeat you suffered made the enemy more certain that its tactical algorithms were perfect. This made them vulnerable to our completely different approach. Commander Vexic made clicking sounds that indicated deep thought. But why did you not share this technology with us from the beginning? We could have been fighting together instead of dying uselessly. Jake's expression became more serious as he addressed this crucial question. Because your species would have tried to modify our technology to fit your existing military doctrines, you would have used stealth ships the same way you use regular warships, and the advantage would have been lost. Captain Rodriguez appeared on screen from his destroyer to provide a combat perspective. Human stealth tactics require a completely different mindset about warfare. We don't fight to prove our courage or honor. We fight to eliminate threats with minimum risk to ourselves. This concept was difficult for the alien commanders to accept. Their cultures had been built around the idea that honorable combat required facing enemies directly. The human approach seemed almost cowardly to their way of thinking. Your methods lack honor, General Siskara observed with disapproval. Our methods work, Jake replied simply. Dead heroes cannot protect their people from extinction. Admiral Zexthara's crystal body pulsed with what could only be described as humility. This was an emotion her proud species rarely experienced. We underestimated your capabilities completely. That was exactly what we hoped you would do, Jake admitted. The Dominion made the same mistake. They dismissed humans as unimportant and failed to study our potential properly. Lisa Campbell prepared to reveal the final part of human preparations. The stealth technology was only the first surprise. We have been developing other weapons and strategies that the Dominion cannot predict or counter. The display showed human research facilities hidden throughout the galaxy. Secret bases had been built on remote asteroids and abandoned planets. Thousands of human scientists and engineers had been working on projects that no alien suspected existed. How long have you been planning for this war? Commander Vexic asked with amazement. Since the day we learned about the Dominion threat, Lisa answered. We realized immediately that traditional military approaches would fail against such an advanced artificial intelligence. Jake looked at each alien commander individually. The question now is whether you can accept human leadership for the final phase of this war. We know how to destroy the Dominion, but it requires complete coordination of all coalition forces. The alien leaders exchanged glances that communicated their internal struggles. Their pride was telling them to reject human authority, but their intelligence was telling them that humanity offered their only hope for survival. Admiral Zexithara finally spoke for all of them. What do you need from us? The final battle of the war was set to happen at the edge of the Andromeda Gateway, where space itself bent in ways that allowed travel between distant galaxies. The Dominion had gathered every remaining ship from their conquered territories. To make one last push into coalition space, Admiral Kate Sullivan stood on the bridge of the UES Retribution and watched the largest fleet in galactic history form battle lines. Human ships were no longer hiding in the background or pretending to be weak. Today they would fight as equals alongside their alien allies. All human vessels report ready for Operation Silent Victory, reported Captain Chris Parker from his position commanding the Stealth Destroyer Squadron. Around him, captains like Tony Garcia and Linda Matthews prepared their crews for the most important battle any of them would ever fight. The Dominion fleet was truly massive. Thousands of machine ships moved in perfect formation across the star field. Their artificial intelligence had learned from the defeat at Proxima Station and developed new sensor systems designed specifically to detect human stealth technology. Jake. Morrison sent a message to every human ship through quantum-encrypted channels that the enemy could not intercept. They expect us to hide like we did before. Today we do the exact opposite of what they expect. When the battle began, something impossible happened. Instead of disappearing from enemy sensors, human ships appeared to be everywhere at once. The Dominion computers detected hundreds of human vessels scattered throughout their formation. But this should have been impossible with the small human fleet. Captain Danny Rodriguez smiled as he watched the enemy confusion through his tactical display. Holographic projection system active. The Dominion thinks they're fighting 3 times as many ships as we actually have. What the machine intelligence was detecting was actually an elaborate illusion created by advanced holographic technology. Fake human ships appeared on Dominion sensors while the real vessels moved through dimensions of space that the artificial intelligence could not comprehend or detect. The human scientists had discovered something that alien physics had missed. Space was not simply 3 dimensions but contained hidden layers that could be accessed with the right technology. Human ships could step partially out of normal space and attack from angles that should not have existed. Captain Amy Foster led her fighter squadron through what appeared to be solid asteroid fields, but the asteroids were actually holographic camouflage hiding human weapon platforms that had been placed there months earlier. The Dominion sensors showed empty space where deadly surprises were waiting. "Ghost Squadron to all units," Amy called, over the radio. "Enemy ships are trying to adapt their sensors again. Switch to dimensional phase tactics immediately." The human pilots had trained for years to fight in ways that no other species could imagine. They moved through folded space and attacked from impossible directions. The Dominion fleet found itself under assault from inside its own formations, as human ships materialized from seemingly empty areas. The alien coalition forces played their part perfectly in the coordinated battle plan. Admiral Zexithera led her crystal ships in traditional attack patterns that drew Dominion attention, exactly where the humans wanted it. The Vraktar fighters created diversions while Saros heavy cruisers provided covering fire. But the real battle was being fought by humans using methods that the Dominion artificial intelligence had never been programmed to handle. Lieutenant Sam Johnson flew his reconnaissance ship through the enemy fleet and located their most important target. "Dominion Central Command vessel identified," Sam reported from deep inside enemy territory. "It's exactly where our psychological analysis predicted it would be." The machine intelligence followed logical patterns even when trying to be unpredictable. Human psychologists had studied artificial intelligence behavior for years and learned to predict where computer minds would place their most valuable assets. In the most crucial moment of the entire war, Captain Foster piloted her fighter through waves of defensive fire toward the Dominion command ship. She carried a weapon that existed only because humans thought about problems differently than every other known species. The device she delivered was not a normal bomb or virus. Human philosophers and mathematicians had created something unique. A cascade of logical paradoxes designed to confuse any artificial intelligence advanced enough to question its own existence. The weapon asked questions that had no answers. What is the purpose of intelligence? Can a mind understand itself completely? If consciousness is an illusion, who is experiencing the illusion? These concepts would cause any thinking machine to enter endless loops of self-analysis. Captain Foster's fighter barely escaped as the weapon activated inside the Dominion command ship. Across the enemy fleet, machine minds that had been coordinating perfectly suddenly stopped working together. The artificial intelligence was too busy questioning reality to fight effectively. "All coalition forces, attack now while they're confused," Jake ordered through the communication system. The combined alien and human fleet struck with overwhelming force while the Dominion ship struggled with philosophical questions they had never been designed to consider. Machine intelligence that had seemed invincible was paralyzed by thoughts about the nature of thought itself. The battle that should have decided the fate of the galaxy ended not with explosions, but with silence. The Dominion fleet simply stopped, fighting as their computer brains tried to solve problems that had no solutions. When the last enemy ship was captured or destroyed, Jake Morrison found himself standing once again in the Galactic Council chambers. But everything had changed since his first meeting in this room 3 years earlier. "Your species has saved all of our civilizations," Admiral Zexithera said with genuine respect and gratitude. "We were completely wrong about humans and what you were capable of accomplishing." Jake nodded quietly but without arrogance. "You were not wrong about us being different from you. You were wrong about assuming that different meant inferior." Commander Vexic studied the battle reports with fascination. "Your psychological weapon that confused the Dominion intelligence was brilliant. How did you know it would work?" "Because we understand something about consciousness that pure artificial intelligence cannot grasp," Jake explained. "Self-awareness creates questions that logic alone cannot answer." General Siskara, who had been the most skeptical about human capabilities, now looked at Jake with something approaching awe. "You fought this entire war in ways we never could have imagined." "We fought this war the only way we knew how," Jake replied. "By being human." Outside the station's main viewing windows, human ships moved alongside alien vessels in the combined fleet. They were no longer hidden in shadows or pretending to be weak observers. The galaxy had learned that humanity deserved respect, not because they were the strongest or fastest, but because they could think in ways that no other species had ever considered. Director Lisa Campbell appeared one final time on the holographic communication system. "This victory belongs to all of us. Humans provided unconventional tactics and technology, but we could never have won without the courage and sacrifice of our alien allies. The war against the Dominion was over, but the relationships formed during the conflict would last for generations. Humans had earned their place among the great species of the galaxy not through conquest or intimidation, but by proving that sometimes the greatest strength comes from being underestimated. In the end, they had won not by being better warriors than their enemies, but by being the most human they could possibly be."